Hiya guys, welcome back to Craig's, the YouTube channel that delves into the spooky things going on in the world. If you're new to the channel, then hit that subscribe button right now for all future updates. So I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love theme parks. It's a great day out that you can have with all your friends and family, but sometimes things can go wrong. We've all heard that saying, you're more likely to die driving to a theme park than dying at one, but that doesn't mean that it would never happen to any of us. So I have compiled a top 10 list of some of the most scariest amusement park accidents, just to show you that sometimes things can go spectacularly wrong. Before we do get started, just a little warning that some of the things that we are going to be talking about might be upsetting to hear. Okay, so let's jump straight in. Coming in at number 10, we have the water chute accident at Porthcawl Fun Fair in South Wales. Now, I can actually remember going on this ride when I was really young, and it was a pretty fun water ride at the time. However, things went very wrong in 1994 when a young boy who was only 9 years old was thrown from the carriage. So this particular ride had a lot of different light fittings hanging above the cart. And in 1994, South Wales had a string of very bad weather. On the first day of summer, Porthcawl opened its gates to the public despite all this bad weather that they'd been having, and they put the water chute into action. However, it came to the conclusion that the bad weather had damaged some of the hanging lights, and when the 9-year-old boy Timothy Morgan went on the water chute with his family and friends, tragedy struck. The ride had gone all the way up the hill, around the bend, and as it came very fast down the track, it was at that point some overhead lighting came crashing down and struck the cart at the fastest point of the ride. This caused the 9-year-old Timothy to fly out of the cart, landing him with serious head injuries, and died at the scene. Everyone else in the cart were later treated for some minor injuries at the hospital. After this incident, the water chute at Porthcawl was demolished, and what was replaced was the beach party ride that is still there today. Coming in at number 9, we have the Superman Tower of Power ride. So in June 2007, a girl named Caitlin Lassiter was involved in a horrible accident on the Superman Tower of Power ride. Now, the Tower of Power ride is one of those free-fall rides where it lifts passengers straight up to the top before dropping them back down to the ground. When Caitlin went on this ride, one of the steel cords ended up snapping while the ride was at its highest point. The cord moved in front of the passengers, and then the ride free fell all the way to the bottom, but Caitlin's leg was caught by the broken cords on the way down, completely cutting through both of her legs above the ankle point. Now, Caitlin was rushed into hospital, but unfortunately she ended up losing both of her legs. The Superman Tower of Power ride was closed down after this incident, and it's quite scary to think that this could have happened to any of us, because I'm sure a lot of us have been on these types of rides in the past. Coming in at number 8, we have a pendulum ride, Snaps. Now, this one is rather horrific, as I'm sure a lot of us have been on one of these sorts of rides in the past. And basically, a pendulum ride in India actually snapped mid-air, bringing it crashing down to the ground with everyone still on the ride. 2 people were instantly killed, and a lot of others were seriously injured. Witnesses reported hearing a cable snap, which caused the whole circular ride full of riders with dangling legs crashing down onto concrete floor. One person even came out of the ride when it first snapped. This is absolutely horrific, and I can't even imagine the carnage of mess that this accident created. 6 people who own and run the ride were arrested and charged. Coming in at number 7, we have the Haunted Castle at Six Flags Great Adventure. So in 1984, smoke started building up in the haunted house attraction and people started running from the haunted house. Now, the haunted house had actually caught fire, which ended up turning into a huge blaze. And even though a lot of people managed to get out, sadly 8 teenagers didn't get out in time, and they had burned to death in the blaze. Now, when their bodies were found, their burns were so severe that they could only be identified through their dental records or the jewellery that they were wearing. Now, this would have been an absolutely horrific way to die, and also pretty awful for the firefighters who found the bodies. It is not known how the fire actually started, but rumours do say that it was due to faulty lighting. Coming in at number 6, we have Disneyland Big Thunder Mountain. Okay, so I've also been on this one before when I was a lot younger, but in 2003, a 22-year-old man died after suffering from severe blood trauma after the train on Big Thunder Mountain derailed, and also 10 other people were severely injured. Now, apparently, the cause of the derailment was down to improper maintenance, which ended up causing mechanical failure. As the train entered a tunnel, the axle came loose and jammed against a brake section, causing the train to become airborne, hit the ceiling of the tunnel, and then the front of it fell on top of the first passenger car, crushing the victim. Disney did go through a big investigation, but nothing actually came about by the end of it, and Big Thunder Mountain reopened the following year and is still open to this day. Coming in at number 5, we have a man thrown from the Superman Ride of Steel. Now, this is a really sad one. A handicapped Iraq war veteran who had lost his legs, he wanted to go on the ride. Now, there are 2 stories on this one. First one is that he had gone around and asked if he could go on the rides, and the park attendant said yes. But the other story is that he didn't actually ask or tell anyone that he was walking around with fake prosthetic legs. Anyway, he ended up going on the ride and he sat right in the front, and during one of the fastest parts of the ride, he was injected from his seat and fell to his death. According to one of the workers of the park at the time, if they had known that he had lost his legs and he was using fake ones, they would have never had let him go on the ride. Whatever the truth of the story, guys, it's a very sad way to go, especially someone who has also been a war veteran. Coming in at number 4, we have Galaxyland, the Mindbender. Now, the Mindbender is the world's largest triple-loop roller coaster, and back in 1986 there was some missing bolts on this ride that caused a 4-car train to fly completely off its tracks, and the last car smashed into a support structure, which then caused it to bounce and crash into a concrete pillar. And this actually it ended up happening in front of a huge audience that were watching a live concert. Now, 3 people on this ride were instantly killed, and a 4th person suffered from severe neck and chest injuries and is still suffering to this day. The remaining passengers were safely evacuated and treated at a nearby hospital with minor injuries, but the Mindbender ride actually reopened in 1987 with extra new safety features. But I can tell you right now, guys, you will not catch me on this one. Coming in at number 3, we have the Hydro Ride at Oakwood Theme Park. So, Oakwood Theme Park is in Pembrokeshire, West Wales, and I have actually been to this theme park and ridden this ride myself. It's a huge water ride where you do get very wet, and in 2014, a 16-year-old girl called Hayley Williams went on the Hydro Ride. And when the ride was at the highest point, Hayley realised that her belt wasn't strapped in properly. Now, this was apparently due to the rain max that you can buy on the way in on the ride, and it got tangled in with the belt. So just before the ride was about to go down the big massive drop, Hayley tried to step off the ride, but the ride ended up throwing her out of the seat, causing her to fall all the way to the bottom. She was airlifted to hospital, but she was sadly pronounced dead. Since this accident in Oakwood Park, they've basically changed the name of the ride to Drench. So instead of Hydro, it's now called Drench, which is still open to this day. And what they actually did was they updated the ride with a new car, so basically this car has bars that come over your shoulders, which I personally do think that they should have had it in the first place, because I can remember going on this ride before the accident happened, and I can remember thinking to myself that I do not feel safe on this ride. Coming in at number 2, we have Expo Land. Okay, so on the 5th of May 2007, it was Children's Day in Japan. But nobody was celebrating because a 19-year-old university student was killed and 19 other guests were injured when the famous Fusion Rajin roller coaster derailed at Expo Land. Initial reports said that 40 people were injured, with 31 being taken to hospital. I mean, an investigation revealed that the ride derailed due to a broken axle. None of the ride's vehicle axles had been replaced for 15 years, which is just insane. The park reopened after the accident but closed again on December the 9th, 2007 due to a lack of customers. And eventually on February the 9th, 2009, its owners finally decided that the park was permanently closed down for good. And in Craig's top spot at number 1, we have the Smiler at Alton Towers. Now, this is another ride that I have been on before the accident happened, and I can remember at the time I was queuing for 3 hours just to go on this one ride, but the ride had actually broken down about 6 times while we were in the queue. So in June 2015, a serious incident happened when a train loaded with passengers collided with an empty test train, causing serious injuries to all the passengers. 2 riders who sat in the front of the train had to have their legs amputated because their legs, they were crushed and they were mangled in the collision. The Smiler did reopen the following year in 2016 with new safety measures put into place. Now, I'm not sure whether if I would actually go back on this ride ever again. Maybe, I might not. But what about you guys? Let me know. Anyway guys, that was the top 10 scariest theme park accidents. So what do you guys think? Will you be going back on any of these rides that are still operating? Like I said, I'm not sure about the Smiler if I'm honest, but I'm definitely will not be going on Drench aka Hydro in Oakwood Park again. But despite this list, it is actually true guys that you're more likely to die driving to an amusement park than dying at one. So let me know in the comments box below, have you ever had an accident on a ride, or have you witnessed an accident while at a theme park? Let me know in the comments box below. I personally have never witnessed an accident at a theme park, but I have witnessed a few rides breaking down. Anyway guys, if you made it to the end of this video, then thank you all for sticking around and watching. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Take care, and I will see you all again next time.